For September the 2nd, 2016, we talk about Deus Ex Go, No Man's Sky returns, and we ask you about your gaming white whales. Welcome to level 164. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Jala Prendes.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome, one and all. It's my understanding that the shirts are out, that when they ship to you, they come in a bag that smells like vinegar, which is delicious.
That's actually a preview of You Do Duckfeed. It's a line extension, I would call it. So you can go back to the shop and order that.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Jala?
Mine smelled like glue. I washed everything and it was fine.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
Don't worry.
It's all right. It's just like whatever their printing process is makes it smell like glue or vinegar or something else.
Yeah. But I've seen pictures of yours, and then Ben told me that he got his level shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
That's one of the better sellers, and I'm wondering if that is because this is the show with the most hosts. Either way,
Do we
it's fine.
4 or less than 4 sales? 5 sales, I guess.
5. Yep. Oh man, but yeah, that is a cool thing. I'm looking at a picture. Somebody on the Life channel in chat just shared a picture of their shut up and stick to video games shirt, and that's pretty good. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Cool.
With the drawing of the duck by the bench. Yeah, no, so everything is cool. How are you guys doing? Anything cool happen over this past week?
All I'm
Nothing
doing
too
is running.
extraordinary.
I played some video
Jala-
games.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Jala and I were both running fools over the weekend.
Yeah, so
Yeah, on hills. Hills everywhere.
That's like hard mode, I'm led to believe.
Yeah.
It's hard mode for running and easy mode for stairs.
Yeah.
It's also like the opposite of Mario, where hills are usually the easy level.
Yeah. Well, Dennis, you were running around the Cincinnati Zoo. You know,
With cheetahs chasing you.
Yeah,
And...
yeah, so it was the cheetah run, and you were taking your kids on a run, right? You were pushing them in strollers, right?
In a jogging stroller. So one of them was hardcore asleep the entire time, and the other was pointing out the monkeys and the hippos. Like it's
Daddy,
like
why can't we stop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The crushing worry about obesity killing me, son. That's what we must truly escape. Also cheetahs.
Yeah, but in spite of recent events, I don't want people to think that the Cincinnati Zoo isn't delightful.
Oh yeah,
It's a great
completely
place.
delightful.
Yeah.
We go all the time.
Yeah,
And sometimes we run now.
Very cool.
And you know, I think that's the place that I put your little pin on the pin map about where people are. I think I put you in the zoo.
So that was factually, literally accurate for about 2 hours on Sunday.
He belongs in a zoo.
And
Well, that's
and the
because
sniper
if
still
you just
couldn't get me.
Yeah, well, like if you just type your city, then everybody's marker is right on top of each other. But if you put slightly different areas of the city, it's arbitrary. You can put it wherever you want. Then, then it splits up to where, it's not all on top of each other and looks like one marker.
Yeah.
So
one mega marker.
why I moved
that
you.
is the Meats and Meats, MEATS and MEETS channel on Slack. Get on it. Get yourself geo-targeted for other Duckfeed people.
Yeah, we've got some people in there that are like, I'm the only one in, like there's only one in Colorado on the map so far. If any of you are in Colorado, go get it. Put it yourself on the map. We needs it. You gotta, hook up and stuff and be like, what's up?
Yeah. And the idea behind that is just we had such a good time hanging out in Austin, and we had so many people that we didn't know who were relatively close to that area that we decided to make that channel. Jala, you put together that map for people to help find each other. Turns out people who like the network are pretty cool, and it's fun to hang out with them.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Ben, you've been kind of quiet. What you been up to?
Not much. Pretty boring weekend. I also went running, and I did a walk run of 3 miles, but it was just across the street, so it was boring. But and then I've also been playing a whole bunch of video games, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I feel lazy. Before my I've been sick this past weekend. On Saturday, I did an hour on the exercise bike, but that was that's nothing. Come on,
dude. If you're sick, like. Number one thing you need to do if you feel bad is to feel better first. You've got to be in good position with that before you can do. Yeah. Otherwise, the exercise will exacerbate your problem.
Yeah.
I'm shaking my finger at you.
This was before I realized I was really sick. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
this pushed me over the edge.
There you go.
Who knows? But yeah, I see no reason why we can't continue on to the rest of the show. I think we've reached the banter requisite.
Talking about video games?
Yeah. Well, we've got the usual kind of thing for you: the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind, roughly corresponding to the news, listener participation, and things we have been playing. But why don't we get started with the brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. I need to pull up the sheet that you guys sent me here. We've got a story. Ben, you've got something about No Man's Sky, and I'm really curious to hear the details of this.
Yeah, the article is basically a stand-in for the story of what happened over the weekend. So they started accepting refunds for No Man's Sky on Amazon, Steam, and the PSN network. And so this was kind of a big deal because this is one of the first times that like a game that major has started accepting refunds that I can recall.
Yeah.
So the criteria for when you could refund a game kind of differed from platform to platform. Steam's was I think the most forgiving, where I believe at one point in time they said any amount of hours that you've played, they'll accept a refund for the game. I've also heard that you need to go through like customer service and like if you played 20 plus hours, they might not accept it. I looked up the PSN return policy just out of curiosity to see if I could return it or not. Not sure if I wanted to pull the trigger or not, but just out of curiosity, I looked it up. And for that, their policy was that you could not have downloaded the game and that you had to have purchased it 14 days ago or less. So
what?
That was a returns policy that did not apply to a lot of people. So I think it was just to say that they had a return policy, perhaps. So I thought that was interesting. So did you guys hear about this over the weekend? And what do you think about the idea of returning games if there's kind of a hype to fun ratio that's too small or too large?
So I'm not too. I bought the game. I haven't played too much of it yet. I intend to play more. It's just been a matter of I'm me, right? So I'm gonna pick up games. I'm gonna drop them, whatever. I tend to get a little bit. So I don't doubt that people are having mixed experiences with the game because we talked about it here. I've had them myself. I've heard it on other shows. Like, it is a big conversation. However, a mass push for people to get their money back after it feels almost like a weirdly artificial kind of set of circumstances, right? It's kind of like if an entire market decides, hey, it's time for a do-over, that just seems kind of weird, and it seems like it's a product of like a push of a kind of a like a very vocal set of the people who got and played the game, as opposed to like any of the other kind of more kind of organic causes for this kind of stuff that you would get like in a Steam return or something like that. Like, oh, I bought Dangerous Golf and it runs like shit on my computer, so I returned it. Stuff like that. Like this is really weird because it's mixed up with people's expectations.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's 100% bullshit and just a cash grab from people who've had their fun with the game and feel like they can get something by accusing it of not delivering on promises that it may or may not have made. Like, I think if it's separated from the hype, this is a fantastic game. And it does some really, really cool stuff for what it is, especially given the size of the team that made it. Yeah. And I just really hate that is being taken away from this game. because there's all this refund stuff going on. Like, if you look at what they aspired to in development versus what actually came out, there were definitely some shortcomings. However, if you listen to the voices of people actually in the industry, people familiar with how games are developed, they all completely understand how, something could have gone this way. Like, misleading people intentionally is never a good thing, and it sucks unintentionally misleading people. But just the way they're getting hung for it is ridiculous to my mind. And the fact that Steam is going along with it is really surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, for me, I already mentioned it before when I talked about Closure and backing it and, all the concerns that you guys were having about, like, okay, they're making a lot of promises here and stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't really mind, if they don't reach all of the things that they're aiming for. I want this experience to exist, and so I don't mind backing that. Like, I understand that I have not played this game, but I do know that I will play this game once it goes on sale for a price that I will pay. And the thing is that I'm not good. Like, even if I don't have a whole heck of a lot of fun with it or whatever, I'm not going to return it. Like, I'm paying for the experience, and I got the experience, Like, if something doesn't work on my computer, that's one thing. But, if it's just, like, it's different than what I thought, then, like, that's not a reason to me to take away money from the people who toiled to make this, So.
Well, and specifically the complaint is they, through very specific promises, led me to believe that the game had these features. And that was false advertising. Like, it was just blatantly false.
And that's that's a point where I'm really uncomfortable actually saying whether they did or didn't, because I didn't follow any of the pre-release stuff, and most of the things that I've heard have only been like mentioned up and raised up on these pedestals after the fact, right? The Colbert interview, different kind of offhand remarks that the lead guy, whose name I can't remember, made in different interviews, like real kind of roughshod kind of stuff. So it's kind of hard for me to jump on a side and say, well, people read too much into it. Like, intuitively that makes sense to me, but I have no idea what was actually said versus what was actually delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
But even then, like, this is not the worst a game has ever failed at, giving that level of polish or features or whatever. Like, we've talked to no end about Molyneux. And this is very much that kind of situation. But for whatever reason, people feel like they can take advantage of Hello Games, whereas with Molyneux, it's, oh, well, he's just going to do what he's going to do.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking of Molyneux's gonna do what Molly do.
Yep.
Yeah, Molyneux with Molly do.
So what's weird about this to me is again, I'm always thinking in terms of precedent. Right, like, what does this decision, that's being made by the platform holders right now, specifically Steam, most of all, like, what implication does this have kind of down the line? Because I can kind of see this having a chilling effect either on communication about games or about even the kind of scope that developers of a certain size might be more willing to to put out. Because
or worst case scenario, the amount to which large publishers like Sony are willing to put any kind of support behind an indie developer.
Yes, behind any developer, or like that, like this could also be really bad. Like this could take a bunch of big publishers and force them into their own kind of like Origin-esque shitty distribution systems. I like stuff going through Steam, but when you have No Man's Sky, a game that is, underwhelming, which is its primary sin, being put kind of in the same basket, functionally and via policy as like Arkham Knight for the PC, which just straight up didn't work for a huge portion of the people. Like, that huge lapse or, kind of just fudging over of the return rules in order to make sure that people don't didn't get stuck with a game that didn't work. That is now being applied to something that is actually, it feels really like qualitative as opposed to quantitative. It's just it's weird. And I don't want to come from a situation where the developers know best, or something like that, where I'm talking to people, because again, everybody has their experience with it, but like, this is, I'm not entirely a caveat emptor guy. I think that's kind of a way that hucksters get away with sticking people with snake oil. However, I think that there was a lot of stuff that was on the page about this thing, and I think that, again, if you look at the amount of time that people have played this, or the amount that they've kind of been bought into it, or kind of like just the weird opportunity cost of, okay, well, the story is people are returning it, now everybody's going to be returning this, like that kind of stops this thing from getting better. And there are all kinds of things where they were in a weird situation where if they would have delayed it further, they would have gotten more death threats. Like, this is just such a weird, like, just kind of like, it's almost a cultural symptom as opposed to like a symptom of the actual. I'm rambling now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's well put. Is that it is cultural versus.
I think if they were to do it over, maybe like a situation where if they were just straight indie and didn't get picked up by PlayStation or by Sony, it might be a better way to go about it, because if they had like all the time they needed to make the game that they wanted to make and didn't have any like pressure to release things at certain times or advertise things in certain ways, might have been a better way to go about it if you were able to redo it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, I mean, even if I only play about like 5 or 6 more hours of this thing, I'm not going to return it, even if it's, even if there's a button on my dashboard on PlayStation. It just doesn't feel right to me. But that is very much my own personal decision around this.
It's also remarkably short-sighted on the part of anyone who, even remotely liked this game. Because it's been very clear that the team is putting a lot of effort into this game after releasing, and there are significant content upgrades coming that will, we've compared it to a Destiny in previous podcasts, so I think that is very much the kind of thing we'll see, where it just kind of becomes much more of a game.
Yeah. And so again, I'm gonna be a karma suck about this. We worked really hard on this. That's something that you tell yourself as a team.
Fair enough.
Yeah, is my big thing. I would have much rather them have waited until it was, a little bit more clear what this was going to be. To Ben's point about, it would have been better if Sony didn't pick this up, because it really kind of feels a lot like there was something, they had something, and then once it got picked up by a bigger publisher, they just kind of refactored it until it became something other than what they intended it to be. On and on and down the line.
That said, it could have been one of the situations where, like if you're a company that's small and you have limited funding, you might have to take that sort of choice. You know what I mean? So. I don't begrudge them for that, and I'm at least glad that this game exists, because it expands the definition of what like a game can be. So at that aspect, whether it's a good game or a bad game, it's still good in that sense. Yeah. Yeah.
I still think
different equals good.
I think novelty. I think novelty is worth something. Yeah.
And maybe to even reiterate again, like there's similar pattern in The Witness, where the idea of like, instead of like hard coding something down and defining a specific instance of something, being able to program the rule for something and having something be able to create on its own. Like, I like the direction of games going in that direction, that it's so much more variability and so much more challenging, but it's so much more interesting,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want us to fall ass backwards into a world where a developer can be punished because of somebody's expectation, around what that is, around what their thing is, because I think that, just being plugged into this for as long as we have, it's so the outrage behind a lot of this stuff is really it gets tiresome.
And it's the developer failing up to live up to the expectation that they set. I think, and that is where the line gets blurry, right?
Yeah.
Is how much was this an expectation that was unreasonable or kind of was created in the player's mind, and how much of it was truly something that the developer influenced and developer created and the developer signed up for to deliver to their audience.
Yeah.
Where does that line get drawn when you're kind of dreaming about what you hope your game will be? And in a game as vast as No Man's Sky and as algorithmically driven, like you really only have so much control over what the game looks like, because they're getting into levels of procedural generation that just you can't really control or comprehend or quality assure that scale of a universe.
Yeah, and at that point, it becomes a question of whether or not that is a worthwhile thing to pursue. That level of pure procedural generation, as opposed to, again, what I was saying, which is, you have two different hoppers for planets or for content. One is you have this algorithm, the other one is like, hey, here's this thing that we made that we're going to disperse randomly throughout this. Yeah. I don't know. We've played this, like 3 of us here have played it.
Right, continue to play it. Yeah. And we'll talk about it more in the grind, I'm sure.
Yeah. Jala, tell me about Heroes of the Storm.
All right. Heroes of the Storm is having a StarCraft theme event patching in on September 13th. And during said event, you can get a free character by simply logging in and making your choice of all the different characters they give you. They listed them out, so I'm probably going to mangle all the names here. Tyrande, Anubarak, and Thrall will be offered for free, and if you have one or more of these, then they will swap them out with Nazeebo, Sonya, and Uther. If you own all 6 of the characters, Blizzard is going to give you the 4,000 gold that any of them would cost to purchase. The patch will have a new character, Alarak, and then 2 additional maps, and there will be an Overwatch-style award system and a variety of different balance changes, which I'm sorry, I'm not going to go into and read because I don't play the game, but I know that there are a lot of listeners who do, which is why I mentioned this, because this is a thing. So, like, if you haven't logged into Heroes of the Storm in a while, you might want to get on that, because in the next couple of weeks they will have freebies. So
hey, it's been a while since you ordered a pizza from Papa John's. Here's a coupon.
Pretty much.
It's a really damn good coupon if you think about it.
So 4,000 gold, that equates to $20.
I don't know.
It equates to the cost to buy a character outright, which is something that games like this usually hold pretty preciously.
So wait, they hold the characters themselves preciously, or the actual figure of what it's going to cost you preciously?
They want it to be an investment to buy a character outright versus, especially for free,
right?
Versus using one of the free rotating characters or buying it with real money.
Right. Huh. Yeah, no, because I just the alternative to that I was saying is, like, most of the time when I've looked at these, buying anything in a game like this, it requires going through at least 3 different currencies to filter down. Like, I feel like I'm laundering my own money to buy this stuff. Yeah,
but it's fun bucks. It's fun to launder that money,
right?
So I've played this game in the past. I enjoyed playing this game in the past. I have not yet installed it on my new computer, and I was like, new character, maybe I don't feel like installing it.
So
it's not enough. So for me, at least, this is it's intriguing that they would give this much to the player base, but not enough to get me to download it again.
Well, I don't know. If there are listeners who do like Heroes of the Storm, though, like, get on it, man. There's some stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, free coupon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I thought that I knew how to pronounce these names, but I don't. Tyrande? Oh, that's Leela. That's Taranga. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
Man, Futurama. I don't know if that's a Futurama deep cut, but no, her last name, I think that's a deep cut. Futurama.
No, Taranga's her first name. Leela's her last name.
Yeah, that. deeper cut.
Yep. Dennis, you got a story about some cars.
Yeah, this one's kind of fun. So Mattel and Nintendo have partnered up and have made Hot Wheels cars that are representative of each of the major characters from the Mario universe, which is really kind of fun. And I'm realizing now that as a audio medium, this maybe was not the best story, but like, Bowser's like a big SUV with spikes on the top. Yoshi
Bowser looks like the turtle van that would fire pizzas from the top.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Yoshi, probably my favorite, is a tow truck with like a red crane and an egg in the back, which is very appropriate.
He's got an egg in the bed, which is my favorite British breakfast dinner. Breakfast dinner, an egg in a bed.
And Toad is a VW Bug style car, which I think works well.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out the gigantic like flesh colored areas on the hoods of the Mario and Luigi cars.
Not best. No. Not the greatest choices on Mario and Luigi.
So Luigi's just looks like a dingus, extending from the hood. Whereas Mario's looks like a penis that has a little bit, like a little tuft of hair growing out the end of it. I'm not here to body shame. If anybody's working with that configuration, good on you. But
Wow. A Mario car.
I'm never going to see that the same way.
Mario's looks like a penis with a mustache.
Yep.
That's the only difference.
Yeah, it's a pretty big miss on Mario and Luigi. They're bad, but I think we can all agree that that Luigi would be the wood-paneled station wagon of this group. Yeah, that seems very obvious to me. I don't know what Mario would be. He's a supercar or like a sports car.
I mean, like the base version. Like Mario would be like a Ford Taurus or a like a Honda Accord. Yeah,
totally a Fiat.
Totally a what?
A Fiat.
Oh yeah, because of the Italian angle. Okay. Yeah. Good. The thing that's bugging me though is that the only one of these that actually has eyes is the Bowser one. And because it's like an SUV kind of headlight situation, he just looks really like he looks like he's squinting again. The Futurama connection, like, oh, I see what you did there, or like he's real pissed off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
bet Yoshi's kind of got eyes. The front windshields are divided down the middle.
Yeah,
you've got like
Toad has eyes.
Oh yeah, he does.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's two conflicting design philosophies though, because the Yoshi is like the Cars style, the eyes are the windshield, and then Toad and Bowser are everything else, where the eyes are the headlamps.
There's an image that I've seen that I've never been able to find again, which is a drawing that illustrates exactly what's going on with the eyes on the Cars franchise of Pixar films. Which is, okay, here's a picture of Lightning McQueen, and you see his eyes, shining through the windshield as opposed to the headlights like any sane person would say. And then the door opens, and then two gigantic disembodied eyeballs with retina nerves hanging off of the back of them just kind of float out of it like balloons, and then the car is empty. So we're not so much dealing with like the windshield as the eyes. We're talking about the eyes they've got a front row seat for the action.
Yeah. But I thought this would spur some interesting conversation. Are there any other video game characters that you think would fit well as cars?
Well, I mean, keeping in the Nintendo vein, like I want to see like a Samus Tesla or something like that. Like,
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like none of this Zero Suit shit, but like I want to see like a Samus Tesla or like a muscle car kind of thing, because she's got those those big shoulder kind of pads. I could really see her being like a Dodge Charger almost.
Shovel Knight Dozer.
Shovel Knight Dozer, pretty good.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Dennis?
I'd have to think about it. I would love to see like a Jack and Daxter motorcycle and sidecar, or like for that matter Ratchet and Clank, or any of the other famous video game pairings.
You say that, and I just automatically think of the old Batman TV show, because Robin was always in the sidecar, and like when I was watching a documentary, it like would just shoot off in a random direction, so they had to retake it, and they never knew where he was going to go fly.
Reset. We got to grab Robin.
Yeah.
Bert, help. Ben, you got anything?
I don't have a one-off. I was desperately trying to think of one, but
I want to see an Adam Jensen PT Cruiser. Nobody asked for this. Yep. Yeah, this is this is cute. Why is the okay? So I think I see the effect they're going for. So we didn't talk about the Peach car, which I like the hood that it kind of has the brooch on it. However, the entire interior it looks like she drove through a foundry and had a bunch of molten gold.
Yeah,
poured inside of her passenger cabin. Yeah, but the effect is like going for like a crown. However, I'm not that into it.
I get it. The literal transition. This would be more of a grill than a crown, right?
What?
Like a human on their teeth grill. Like it's all inside the opening there.
Yeah.
Well, she's got either a Reach toothbrush man mouth or like whatever, like just crown for days, bigger than her head.
So I'd say Bowser and Yoshi A's, Toad is probably a B, Peach is probably a C, and then Luigi and Mario are just like F-.
Well, Luigi's a D. Mario is a solid solid F because of
solid D's.
Yeah, because of the dick stash. Yeah, that's not a title. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Typing backspace slowly and sadly on my phone.
I'm going to go for my story. This is going to be a really Resident Evil heavy episode, but what's different about that, right? So the ESRB is actually like if you want to follow like details about games that don't really have an awful lot of detail out about them, always watch the ESRB or for reports on the ESRB, because as publishers and developers submit their stuff for ratings, the ESRB will put out like these summaries. And so in this case, Resident Evil 7, it had a demo that was pretty mysterious. There are still some things people haven't figured out about it. However, the ESRB rating implies, and in fact assures us, yes, there will be combat, including, let's see here, pistols, shotguns, flamethrowers, explosives, and chainsaws to kill mutant creatures. Okay, pretty cool. It's going to feature like dismembering of bodies, which I can take or leave that. And there are also some plot details, like a main character's name or what have you. But what we're seeing now is this game kind of being brought into just like a little bit sharper relief or contrast. They kind of came out when this demo came out and said this is not actually content that is present in the game. A lot of people were worried that it was going to be like a completely combat-free, like PT-esque exploration kind of thing.
A jumping simulator.
Yes. Jump scare simulator. And now we're just getting some assurance that this is probably going to be something, with the inventory system that we've seen, a little bit more akin to an older style RE game. No idea of its first person perspective or otherwise just yet. But I don't know. I think that this is roughly newsworthy because we're kind of looking at this weird trend where we're getting these playable teasers, PT, that may or may not actually represent the actual thing. And, this is kind of the first detail that we've gotten about what RE7 looks like.
Have flamethrowers been a thing in Resident Evil before?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just not familiar. Yeah, even since the first game. However, they've kind of always been roughly useless, like most non-TF2 flamethrowers are. Very limited ammo, very limited kind of usefulness. Did I say the first one? I think maybe I mean the second one. I don't know.
Except for
God, there's a zombie about to bite me. Oh God, now we're all on fire and there's a zombie biting me.
Well, except in Resident Evil 5, there's a whole boss fight that like focuses on you have a flamethrower. You don't have to use the flamethrower to kill it, but
that's the massive worms guy, right? Like in the weird little blast chamber. Yeah, there we go. Now that's a good boss fight. I like that fight a lot.
That's less a flamethrower and more like a flame installment, right?
you can use a flamethrower to like herd them around, though, can't you, Jala?
Yeah.
Man, I played that game. How did I forget that?
I don't know.
Zombie. It's all zombie soup.
Yeah, zombie soup.
Yeah, I think that's a boss in the yeah, one of them. I don't know. Sorry, I'm not feeling cogent enough. I'm recovering from an illness, guys. Give me some slack.
You have all kinds of
slack on the Slack.
Oh yeah, all kinds of slack is happening. Speaking of, there's a Slack about the multiplayer, which...
Multiplayer.
Now it's time for the multiplayer, which we are going to do now. It's where we ask you a question and you answer it. Jala, you asked the question. What is the question that you asked to the nice people?
I asked, have you ever had a game that you would love to beat, but victory seems so far away? What white whale game have you put aside and what stopped you? Thanks, Michael P., for the question.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to pick us up here with Roop, who says Metal Gear Solid 5, Wasteland 2, those games just drag on and on. Too much repetition and slow pace. Also, Civilization 6 and Heroes of Might and Magic 6. Sorry, Civilization 5. I was reading ahead.
I was going to say, man, he's got an inside track on a game that's not out yet.
Yeah. So not played Wasteland 2. However, MGS5, I could totally see, like, if you have beaten Chapter 1, like, petering out on Chapter 2 in a major way. I wonder if that is what he's kind of run up into.
Mm-hmm. I could see that as well.
Yeah.
Dennis, what does Steven say?
Steven says, for me, it's The Witcher 3. That game is beautiful and full of interesting and unique content, but something seems impenetrable to me and almost feels like it has too much going on. I don't really have the hundreds of hours to see the end of that story. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go play through Dark Souls another 10 times.
Yeah, he does that
all about
all
priorities.
the time.
Well, it's one of those things.
Time appears in your life for the things that you care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen True Detective, but I can't tell you how many times I've watched through Community. You know, like it's really, you know, that's everybody. It is priorities, right?
Well, and then too, I mean, especially if you have a stressful day and whatever, like you don't want to like stress yourself out and play a game that you're just like having a war of attrition with. You want to play something that's gonna, you know, be enjoyable to you that you can just chill out to. So
Yeah.
I mean,
So you
know,
go play Dark Souls.
if that's
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Well, I mean, like with how many times he's played it, you know, like by this point, it's all mechanically ingrained, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yep. I just said that to be flip. I don't actually. Well, whatever. Ben, what does Sam say?
Sam says, I've put at least 40 to 50 hours into King's Bounty, the Legend, but I can never comprehend it enough to overcome the constant attrition that comes with a difficult strategy / RPG with limited resources.
That seems like a game in a series and maybe a genre where you have to be a little bit more comfortable with iterating on a playthrough than I would normally be. Like, okay, I just need to be ready to cut bait like 10 hours in so I can start out so I can start over again and play through in a way that leaves me in a better situation when I get back to the same point later on. Like,
yeah,
it's my understanding that happens in something like XCOM.
I was about to bring it up if you didn't. So yeah, XCOM has that hardcore where, you know, you can lose the game 10 hours before you realize you've lost, and that's just a 20-hour playthrough that you're going to have to ditch.
Mm-hmm.
Also, happy birthday,
even if you
Sam.
are keeping save games, like it can just happen. So
yeah, I don't want it to be lost that Jala just wished Sam happy birthday. Happy birthday, Sam.
Yeah,
Happy
the day that we're
birthday!
Recording. Yeah, the day that we're recording is his birthday. So happy birthday.
happy birthday in the past to you.
Oh, man. Jala, what does my say?
She says, Linus 1. It was called Paladin's Quest in America. It was brought up that running from too many encounters had made the last boss too difficult. I didn't avoid random encounters, and I spent an extra 10 hours farming in the final dungeon. I was probably around level 85-ish on every character when I went to the last fight and couldn't beat him no matter how many times I tried. My older brother also couldn't beat him. It was the unbeatable game in our house. I've tried to go back to it, but being a typical length RPG of the time, I haven't stuck with it. I wonder if he is as hard now as he was when I was 14 and 15. Huh. She also made a note.
Don't have little kid patience.
Well, she also made a note that the sequel was actually beatable. It's just the first one that was ridiculous. So.
Yeah, from a time when any JRPG that crossed the transom was like, I'm going to play this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had this isn't my answer, but I had a very similar experience with Final Fantasy 13. Would that have been?
Yeah,
the one on Next Generation. on PS3. Sorry, that is not next generation now. Oh my god. Time warped right there.
The current generation isn't even next generation anymore.
No, it's last generation. The boomers of console world. Yeah, but it got literally all the way to the final boss, and just had not ground enough to beat it, and was like, well, screw that. So I don't wish I would have finished that. I watched a video of the end and was fine with it. So that's not my answer, but I've had a similar experience with that kind of game.
Weirdly enough, the same thing happened to me with Final Fantasy X.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to mention that one as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I never beat that game, but I played probably about 40 or 50 hours worth of it.
Mm-hmm.
What's ironic about that is that was one of the Final Fantasies that I actually beat, and a lot of them I just like played a good chunk and then just like petered out at some point. But I finished that one, so.
Yeah. It's almost like the incubation process for one of those games, because I will almost always get, like, back in the day I would get to the end boss or the last dungeon and then just let it sit for about 8 months and then come back to it and then just finish it over a weekend.
Huh.
Yeah.
What was the rationale for that 8-month break?
I don't know. I lost interest until I finally saw it on a shelf and I was like, oh, I might as well beat that. It's not a particularly good reason, or an interesting one even. Don't flatter me. Gus says, I may face a lashing, but Fallout New Vegas and its DLCs for me. We get excited to go in and carve out a piece of the Mojave Wasteland, only to lose my passion to move on. I've played the Souls games, beaten Metal Gear Solid 5, and put over 300 hours into Skyrim, but the closest I got to almost completing the main quest in New Vegas was the ramp up to the Hoover Dam battle.
That's so close.
Well, see, I had commented on that too, because I was like, that's actually in the hopper for probably like after I finish RE6 with Sam and after I play BioShock 2, then I was probably going to be playing Fallout New Vegas. So I'm like, I wonder how I'm going to deal with it like when I get to it. Of course, the thing is that if you give me an open world, I almost never finish the main story. So right. that's how that happens.
And the side stuff in New Vegas is pretty good.
Yeah.
So you're still going to get a full experience.
Good.
Yeah. Is my take on that. Obviously people have different reactions. Dennis, how about Ollie?
Yeah, Ollie says Virtua Tennis 4. Explain yourself, sir. He says, I love sports games, but the hoops they made you jump through to up your skills in career mode left me not wanting to play it any further. I left the option of playing on easy, where every match was a wash, or moving up the difficulty and getting hammered. So to this day, it's the only game of its type I haven't completed, which leads me to ask, like, what does it look like to complete a game like that?
Maybe to get some kind of title?
Maybe there's like a career mode with like a finite ending. Yeah.
To complete
sports
some
games
kind of
I always
season.
associate with just kind of being endless and ongoing.
Yeah.
Like Dynasty mode.
Yeah, no, I could see like working your way up through a circuit, like to different opens and things like that. Yeah.
The idea of like a grinding leveling system in the tennis game just feels weird.
You, my friend, have not played the Mario Tennis game for the Game Boy Color or Advance.
I have not.
Which, like the Mario Golf game for Game Boy Advance, combines, I think it's a Camelot game. It combines like RPG level up and adventure kind of stuff with some really fun mechanic kind of things.
Huh.
Yeah. Wow, that was a PlayStation 3 game. Virtua Tennis 4. My brother really likes tennis games, but that's because he played a lot of tennis in high school. Let's see. Ben, what does Kyle say?
Kyle says, one of the few games I could not beat was because it caused me such pure anxiety. I played Shelter, where you play a mother badger taking her cubs from one burrow to another. The stealth sequences were where you were trying to avoid birds of prey from killing you and your cubs. No other game has affected me this way after an hour. I had to put the game down. I possibly could go back and play it after reading more about it, but those feelings keep me away.
I talked about that and I played that game and I had said too, it's depressing. The ending of it is depressing. So like, and there's no way to not make it depressing. So right. if you're having problems in the earlier parts of the game, I would not recommend that you play the end of the game. It will make you feel worse.
Yeah. Like, does that kind of mirror your experience? Were you able to kind of like power through that exhaustion with it?
Here's the thing. Like, I have a certain layer of separation, and so like I didn't really have any, like, I'm like, oh, well, damn it, there goes another one. Like I wasn't responding. I wasn't really responding to most of it in the same way that he was. Like, I wasn't dramatically affected by it. I can understand how someone would be, but I wasn't. I didn't get that deep into the emotional aspects of it. So, but at the same time, not being deep into the emotional aspects of it, I got to the end, and I'm like, damn, that's depressing. That's depressing. How depressing. And so if I who was just kind of like hanging out and playing a game had that kind of response, then someone who was deeply affected by, everything up to that point, this should not do the end of that game.
Again, cut bait.
Yeah. Sounds like a real like Disney Africa kind of situation.
What?
Their documentary film about the African lions.
Can you?
Oh yeah, it was maybe called like Cats or some.
Cats is already a thing.
Yeah, damn it. Disney's documentary on African lions that they advertised as being like a really cute story about a mother lion and her cubs.
Right.
It's like every single one of them brutally dies one by one in the documentary.
Death March
this
of
is
the
from
Lions.
Disney.
Welcome to reality, kid. God, nothing makes me angrier than when somebody like acts as a gatekeeper for reality. Ugh. Jala, what does Michael say?
Michael says, Skyrim, I like the game, but I always get burnt out by the numerous side quests before beating the main game. Honorable mention to DMC3 in Dante Must Die mode. I made it all the way to the end game repeatedly. Every time I got close, I was annihilated by a demon chess game.
Then he shares a video of demon chess, which people who play the game will know about. Dennis, as somebody who has played this, what can you tell us about demon chess?
It is a real bastard. I don't know what to tell you other than that.
I see Dante fighting chess pieces that are like shooting fireballs at him. Is it just that there's stuff from every angle, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's all enemies kind of inspired by the chess pieces.
Right. Huh.
And it is exactly as punishing as you would expect in a game like this.
DMC. Somebody, I think maybe it was on Twitter. I am very sorry that I'm not citing you, but said they differentiate the most recent DMC reboot by calling it DMC.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. OMG Moose says, Metal Gear Solid 5. I open it every day just about I open it every day just about to send people on missions, but I haven't done any missions in months. Sorry, lost kids, I could rescue you, but sending recruits to get other recruits and Netflix, lots of Netflix. Truly, I have become a demon.
That's funny.
Demon chess game.
Yeah. I mean, that just makes a case for, like, I really wish that there was a mother base app where I could send people and do that stuff, because, like, man, firing on my PS4, I have to pick up the controller and press the button. I have to wait 30 seconds. Ugh, fuck that. Mm-hmm. Kojima, what kind of monster are you? Dennis, what does Kyle say?
Kyle says, Castlevania, the Dracula X Chronicles on PSP. Despite dozens of attempts, I could never beat Dracula's true form to get the true ending. Apparently, he was added to the PSP version because the devs thought the boss, or the final boss of Rondo of Blood, was too easy. Well, fix that problem.
Nice.
I was surprised to learn that there is more to that game on the PSP than just unlocking Symphony of the Night. Symphony of the Night is a full game present as an Easter egg. So somebody maybe they didn't laugh. I guess I'll cut that out. I don't know.
Leave it in. We all need to hear your dejection.
Oh.
if you cut out unfunny things, we would have a normal length podcast.
Right?
Plenty of podcasts are 2 hours long. They're all done by Dan Carlin, but they're let's see here. Ben, what does Eric say?
Eric says the horror first-person adventure game Scratches: Director's Cut. I started the game over about 3 times. The big reason it's a game I haven't beaten is because of its classic adventure game style, lack of strong hints, and being very unfriendly to walk away from for anything longer than a couple of days. I am going with Scratches specifically because it's one that pops in my head every so often as a game I really need to go back to and beat. Although many games of this genre, as well as classic point-and-clicks and CRPGs, both old and new, Pillars of Eternity being a recent example, are games that I just have a hard time with. Classic Fallouts are games I really wish I could get the hang of and play, but Scratches is the one that comes to mind somewhat often. One day, Scratches, one day.
Yeah. Scratches is a really interesting game, actually. It is really classic, like first person adventure horror game kind of thing. I was going to say that it was developed someplace strange like Eastern Europe, but even stranger, it's out of Argentina. So like they're emulating like like if Agatha Christie was a horror writer kind of stuff. Like it's a kind of a Lovecraftian Gothic mansion kind of thing. But it feels like they bring a little bit of that to them. I wonder, I think I have that on GOG or something like that. Like, I don't know if I would say like go play and beat it, but like as a relic of this weird mid 2000s holdover from a dead genre, in a horror kind of style, it is definitely worth experiencing, I think. So just if you didn't feel bad enough, Eric, let's see here. Jala, what does Tim say?
Tim says, most RPGs are like that for length. Final Fantasy XII just got too intimidating when I saw the epic number of hunts involved, and Mass Effect 1 got real intimidating when I was finally free to fly around the universe. Simply too much to do and not enough hours to play. As for difficulty, classics like Ninja Gaiden always come to mind. But most recently, Guacamelee pushed me to an indefinite hiatus when I got to the final boss. I'd gotten all the skills unlocked and beaten the multi-floor dungeon, but the final boss was too hard and I just didn't want to keep dying to him anymore. Oddly enough, no regrets.
Again, cutting bait.
Huh. That's foreshadowing for me because I've been playing that game.
Jolly,
we'll see if I can make it through.
You played Guacamelee. Did you beat that, or did you just kind of dip in and dip out? Okay.
I dipped in and dipped out. I was like, oh, this is a thing. This is a little bit too much like trying to exaggerate the culture, and it just like was a little too grating on me for that aspect. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Let's see here. Christopher writes, or Chris, sorry, I always call you Chris. Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. Made it to Dracula numerous times, never beat him. This is more my biggest shame than the biggest white whale. And nowadays, when I randomly play it, I can't even make it to Dracula. Still a lot of fun to play. Also, never beat Tyson in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Actually, the NES itself is kind of the white whale. I like the cascading series of, like, reconsiderations.
Yeah. Yep. It's awesome.
Don't worry, Chris. I've never beat Tyson. And also, Castlevania 3, I had to use save states. So don't worry.
I feel like most of the populace cannot beat Mike Tyson.
I mean, based on what we saw in Austin.
Yeah.
Although there was that one guy.
Well, there was the one guy who was so
blindfolded. Oh,
there was that one guy who was so in tune with it that he's like, yeah, the lag on this is causing me to not be able to do this. Like the guy who beat Tyson that very morning and showed us a picture of it.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh man, that guy was so good. Puts me to shame. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's not so much a shame, but like if you want to beat it, like you can go back and beat those. It's a thing. Save states. You know, it's playing games with training wheels on, but at least you can see it and figure out how it works and all that. Dennis, what does David say?
David says, The Witcher 3 and Dragon Age Inquisition. I can't ever just zip through games like this, but also don't ever seem to be ready to start an 80-hour epic. Yeah, I've also got the symptom of just like, I know if I powered through the game, I could probably finish it, but I just don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, that's not
you care about your family.
What is it, like 2 years ago around Christmas? Was it Ben, you were describing Dragon Age Inquisition and Jen was there and she's like, Dennis, you can't play this game.
So the point of the game is you play it for about 10 hours and you accomplish 1% of it. So.
Yeah.
And that's knowledge, right? That's knowledge of somebody that you've chosen to spend your life with, that you can spot a trap that maybe they can't spot. And
that kept my life from going down a very dark path, I'm sure. Although I do have, it's come up multiple times. I have The Witcher 3 for PS4 now, and I've eyed it once or twice. So
oh wow,
who knows?
Yeah, I'm
it's
kind
a trap.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later on. Let's see here. Ben, what does Josh say?
Josh says Temple of Elemental Evil. Almost at the very end, there's an encounter with fire elementals that slowed my computer down so much I had to close the program. Never could get it to an end state. Going back recently with better hardware, the menu style of the combat is unbearable since I've already made it 98% through the game.
Yeah. That's not so much a white whale as the one who got away. Like, it wasn't your fault. Mm-hmm. Like, that was a very poorly optimized game, like, infamously. Yeah.
It's not your fault, Josh. It's not your fault.
Don't do this, man. Oh. Yeah. Jala, what does Graham say?
Graham says, ever since I first heard of Xenogears, I've wanted to experience it. Just from discussion and screenshots, it looked like the psychedelic experience like no other video game. I don't care how unfinished it is. It sounds like a real trip. Playing it, however, is an abrasive chore. Although I've gotten about halfway through in a couple of attempts to beat it, I've never beaten it. Only recently have I come to terms with my inability or lack of patience to finish the game, so I've begun watching a Let's Play to experience it.
Yeah.
Good call.
Seems like a good call. And I think that every once in a while we get somebody who really gets a burr to insist that we play Xenogears for Watch Out for Fireballs, right? Like, oh, you guys are going to love this. Just like for your next JRPG, really recommend that you go for this. And it's like, man, you never want to question somebody's like recollection because everybody has a different experience. Everybody has different priorities for like what really sets them off. But boy, oh boy. Yeah, like we have, and we only do like one, maybe at most two of those a year. And just, I hate to break people's heart, but like for exactly what Graham says, like we can't do it. Not can't. Won't is one, but can't do it in a way that would make people who are really pushing for us to do it happy. Like it just,
well, you couldn't do it justice the way they would want. Like,
yeah,
it's either you don't do it and say, yeah, it sounds like it'd be great, and we just can't get to it, or you do it and you like, I'm so burnt out, I could not finish, I hate this, and then no one's happy either way.
Right. So we spent 30 hours playing a thing we didn't really like, and then somebody who really likes this thing has to hear us be honest about the experience that we had with it. I mean, it's a little bit something like, we talked about this on a recent Duckfeed Live, where it's like, we will probably never do Chrono Cross for Watch Out for Fireballs. That's a game that I really enjoy, but I recognize its flaws. First off, it's hostile to colorblind people, so like I'm not going to put Gary through that. But also, like I can't defend it. It's one of those things that I love, I would recommend, but can't defend. And so if we ever do Chrono Trigger, like I'm just going to stream Chrono Cross. Like it's just going to be like a 2-week project, and we're going to like get it done, and I'm going to make that a part of network content. But like, for very similar reasons, like nobody's going to be happy if we do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to finish this out with Ignacio, who says, Castlevania Aria of Sorrow is my favorite Castlevania game. I played it plenty of times as a kid, but I never got the true ending. I didn't know it existed back then, and I don't have the wherewithal or motivation to track down a copy now. Instead, I watched an excellent Let's Play of it that also showed the many secrets that I missed. Good enough, I think? And Aria of Sorrow, I mean, I want to say it's so good. It's been forever since I played it, but like that was a very fun Castlevania game back when I was playing it on the Game Boy Advance. I think getting the true ending requires like collecting all of the souls. Like there's kind of a bullshit Pokemon element to it.
Gotcha.
And it just kind of depends on what your sensitivity and susceptibility to that is. I can't remember if I ever got the true ending, but yeah, I could totally see that if that was something that mattered to you, falling into like, well, I'm just never going to do this. So, yeah, see you later. So let's go into ours. Mine's going to be kind of quick. You know, it's no secret that I get games and I don't play them, or I don't play them, satisfactorily to myself. There's kind of this triad of off-kilter, offbeat, but still popular RPGs released for either this generation or last generation that, you know, whenever I have a down moment, which isn't very often, but, you know, I still think about it, and they taunt me from the shelf. I'm even looking at it like the shelf is like right behind my monitor, like it's across the room right now. But like
you
it's,
see it in the reflection. Yeah.
Well, I just know I'm actually looking directly at it. But it's this trifecta. It's this trifecta of The Witcher 3, Dragon's Dogma, and Nier. Both of these are games that, like, the ideal version of me that is able to follow through on anything would be able to, like, play these and experience them and really dig in, because I know there's, like, wonderful stuff there. Mm-hmm. But the actual version of me, the me that I kind of have to accept, you know, as just having something missing in them, you know, has only played, like, 3 hours of them. And so, like, yeah, that's kind of a bummer. Like, I don't know if this is a way I will. Like, I have them, you know, if you look at the gross number of hours in a day, I probably, you know, even have the ability to, like, make a dent in them. But it's like, man, they're just, those are spicy meatballs. And so, like, that is the trifecta. And again, it's like the Three Stooges trying to go through a door. Well, I think I'm going to play Dragon's Dogma. Well, but Nier's here, and that's kind of a shorter game. But Witcher's more recent. Like, each of them cancels each other out in some kind of elemental way, in a way that just doesn't, like, I think that if I was at all concerned with my mental health or well-being, I would just, like, I would basically baby Moses them. I would wrap them up in wax paper all together. Yep. And I would put them in a river, and somebody else would pick them up, and they would play them and enjoy them. However, as it stands, they are kind of this weird albatross.
Just play The Witcher 3.
Yeah. Like,
that's the good one.
Albatross.
Like, honestly, I should just, like, work backward, right? Like, it would be so much easier. Now, if there's that Game of the Year thing, I could probably get like a bundle of DLC real cheap. Just play that, you know, experience what I need to experience, and then, you know, just kind of work back the Dragon's Dogma, then Nier. Like, that would be the way to do it. But again,
just don't put all this pressure on you. Just play The Witcher 3. It's a good game.
Said Ben with little devil horns sitting on your shoulder.
Yeah, so that was my promise to talk about Witcher 3 later on. Dennis, how about you? What is your white whale?
Yeah, mine is Advance Wars for the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, wow.
I played this all the way to the final battle and got a little stuck on it. And then got distracted from the game for not that long. But it was long enough that I'd kind of forgotten this, you know, the tactics, the strategies that you need to kind of know to be able to play the game effectively. And so I'm faced with this horrible decision of just never finish the game, or probably play it all the way back through just to build up that strategic memory to get to the final mission. So, and I don't think it's like it's unbeatable or anything like that. Like, it's tough, but I don't think anywhere it, you know, it's known for being too punishing. It's just the fact that I was away from it for too long, and I can't even remember, like, the systems around upgrading your units or anything like that. So I'd have to completely relearn it from scratch.
That's kind of similar to mine too, because I was going to say Dark Souls, and the reason why is because I had a chunk of time, and I played like 19 hours in 2 days. I played the shit out of it when I first got to it. I got to Capra. I got a bunch of advice from people about how to beat him, but it was not for my type of character build, and so it was all wrong. So I kept on, fighting him in ways that would not work with my character, and I'm like, why am I not able to do this? What the hell? And then I derped around in other areas and did other stuff. And then I just got busy and I didn't have time to mess with it. And I'm control dumb. So every single time I start this game up, if it has been too long, I have to relearn the controls and figure out all of that. And eventually I had loaded it back up again at some point and figured out how I need to fight him to beat him, because I got pretty close, but I ran out of time. And then I got busy, and then I just had stuff going on and I haven't been able to go back to it since. And really, I don't want to load it up just because even if I could just go ahead and beat him and have that part over with, I'm still not going to have the time to sink into it right now, especially with marathon training and commissions and things like that coming up. I don't have time to devote to the game the way that I would like to. So if I get back to it later on, it's going to be after my marathon's over with, because I don't have time. So
it's understandable. I mean, because, who's saying that if you get through Capra, you're not going to stall out again on Gaping Dragon, etc. down the line.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's and then too, it's yes, I do have time here and there to play games. Obviously, I usually have a whole smattering of random stuff I play, but a lot of the stuff I play is short. So I can get short or co-op. So I can get through it because I'm either co-oping it with someone in its social time, or it is a fairly short game that, I can turn around and beat and then move on, and get that kind of sensation of, okay, I've finished something in my gaming, rather than just kind of constantly, fighting an ongoing battle with a particular game and trying to, put aside time so that way I don't forget how to play it, if that makes any sense. So
that makes sense.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
I'm tempted to say Metal Gear Solid 5 because I like the fact that so many people said that when there's so many references to Moby Dick in that game. But instead, I'm going to say Just Cause 2 because that was a game that I tried to 100%. And there was at some point in the game, there was an area where I didn't get one of the things, and then it made it really difficult to find the thing that I didn't get. And I forget exactly how the mechanics work. But I just remember at some point I realized that I was doomed to not be able to 100% the game, and I was very sad. So,
only you would say not 100%ing something would count it as your white whale.
Yeah, maybe.
Ben, what haven't you finished? Not finished. I'm not a bitch. I'll tell you what I haven't finished. 100%ing things.
Yeah. That's when I said, fuck it, live life to the hilt.
Nice segues. I'm probably not going to finish No Man's Sky, but we can get to that in a sec.
We ought to. But thank you, everybody, for responding to this question. If you would like to participate in these, go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast and watch for those prompts to go up on Tuesday afternoons and evenings. And we got to all of them this time. Sometimes we don't, but we appreciate everybody who writes in. Yeah, I think that's the end of that segment. Okay. The grind. Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the games that we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Ben, since you implied very heavily that you had things to say about No Man's Sky at the end of the previous segment, I'm going to throw to you.
Sure. Yeah, so my stuff this week's kind of going to be a curveball of what I've kind of prefaced, but over the last week I read the ending of No Man's Sky, or basically what happens when you get to the center of the galaxy, and that made me not want to play the game. So I'm not going to I'm not going to say what happens or anything like that, but
I mean, Peter Molyneux makes you a god in his new game, right?
Yep, that's right. It's going to be a reward beyond all your wildest imaginations.
What kind of expectations did you have for it going in? Like, were you kind of like, nah, I'm just curious to see what happens? Or were you really intrigued?
Yeah, I mean, I was curious because they give you a goal without exactly saying why you're going there, right? Outside of that is a way to beat the game.
Well, I'm kind of surprised because Ben, you are a super non-spoiler type thing about all the stuff. So like you're going and reading about the ending of this game that you're not done playing. What?
Yeah. Perhaps it's outside of my character zone. I mean, as I said, I don't want to spoil it for anybody else, but there's definitely a lot of game design decisions in No Man's Sky that I don't agree with, and I don't think are necessarily good choices. But I don't know.
How about this? Instead of saying what was at the center, tell us something that they didn't do that would have made getting to the center worthwhile.
If there was like a narrative of any kind in the game, right? I mean, because right now, okay. All right. Yeah. Next question. What's up?
Yeah. It feels to me like, and this is me just playing a limited amount of time. I haven't sunk like hundreds of hours into this or anything, but it feels right now like they're building towards something. Like I'm definitely getting more narrative in terms of the lore of the universe. And I guess my expectation would be that the getting to the center, delivers on or informs that lore further in some way. Obviously, it can't be anything that, has you having too much of an involvement or an impact on this universe. But I think some kind of big revelation about the universe that you're inhabiting is what I would expect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to see is your map data is erased, but you are informed that the thing that you need to unlock the terrible secret of space is actually at the landing site where you crashed initially, and you have to find your way back to your first planet.
That would be so cruel. So cruel.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
So you should have named some shit, shouldn't you have?
Yeah. Should have been some more Merkle Primes out there.
Man.
I did probably the most No Man's Sky thing you can do in the game this week, which is I learned the Corvax word for insignificant. And that popped up on my screen. I was just like, that's so perfect.
It seems like in the limited time that I've played, the first word that I learned from any language is hi. Not hi as in hello, how's it going, but hi as in HIGH.
I kept learning the word for the language itself. Like Corvax is Corvax for Corvax in Corvax. like so insightful. Yeah.
I don't know why that tickles me a lot. So Ben, being the person who I think might be closest to this, is there any indication of the progress that you have made so far? Do you know roughly how far you are from this? Because like at a certain point, there's like a point of no return almost.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the thing is I don't know how far away I am from the ending. And I think that might've been part of the impetus for me looking up what the ending is, because It's like, I want to know where the end point is, and I want to I don't want to play this game for hours and hours and hours, and even not beat it after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, nobody wants to burn calories chasing after nothing.
Yeah,
unless you're Jala.
Even if they had like a meter or something, or give you some sort of percentage to how far you are away, like even that would be enough. I thought there
was a screen that had like number of light years to the center of the universe.
Oh, then maybe
I think it's in a menu.
So maybe I'm not reading it. All right, so maybe if they did a better job of displaying that to me specifically,
yeah,
I don't know
if that piece of information was more discoverable.
Yeah. So I think I played this game maybe a little bit within the last week, but I think I'm coming to a close of playing the game, perhaps. Yeah. But yeah.
Huh. So what's after this? And I mean, like, I know that I ask you this a lot, and that isn't just to single you out, but like you are the person that I know who is most methodical about watching for stuff and like knowing what you're going to go to next.
Yeah. So I did start a new game this week, so that is something that I want to talk about.
Okay.
I started playing Obduction this last week.
Ah, shit. Okay.
Ooh.
Did anyone else start playing this game?
No,
by any chance?
no. I ran out of budget for games, and I have 2 more days to wait until I get more budget for it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. No, this is the new game by the Mist folks, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Looks so goddamn good.
I've been pretty impressed
the name,
with it
I know
so far.
nothing about it.
It's like Obduction, like you steal someone, but it's with an O instead of an A at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And there's reasons why the name is the way it is. I think it's a good game. I'll be very vague about it. It is very much like Mist, and that is basically like a giant puzzle box of a game where you have to solve a very specific puzzle and figure out what the first puzzle that you need to solve is. And that basically opens up something else, and then you have 3 puzzles you need to solve, and you have to try and figure out what's going on. And so a lot of it is just trying to retrace your steps and think of where all the different elements that you've seen are, and kind of think of how you can get past the next hurdle.
Yeah.
So it's a very it requires very patient problem solving with it. So it's a similar experience to what we had earlier this year in The Witness,
right.
Where you're specifically not given information about the world, and you have to discover the information about it. I like this is different from The Witness in that it's kind of, as I said, the best analogy for it's like a puzzle box, because each puzzle that you solve kind of opens up 3 new doors that you have to try and figure out now. So far it's done a really good job of like unfolding itself. So yeah, it's really good. I'm at a point where I'm kind of stuck right now though, so I don't know how to get past where I'm at. So that's where I'm at. I need to either like walk around aimlessly and look at pieces of paper or do something. So yeah.
Do you have any prior experience with the Myst games, Ben?
I played Myst when I was a child.
Okay.
I remember brute forcing a lot of the puzzles when I was a kid, like the tree puzzle where I think there's like 3 digits and you have to enter in that.
Oh boy.
I just brute forced that. I was a kid and it was like a weekend. I had nothing to do, so yeah.
Yeah.
I was very tempted to do that in Obduction a few times, just for like nostalgic reasons almost. But I haven't resorted to that yet. But yeah.
Yeah. Huh. How much like story narrative stuff is present in this?
There is stuff there. There is much more of a narrative in this game than there is in The Witness.
Good.
Yeah. So there are
Yeah. No,
yeah,
this
I had just put it. I just put it on my wish list and was poking around looking at it the other day, and I'm like, somebody else is going to play this before me, but it'll be. I'm going to put it on my wish list anyway and watch it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you went for it, Ben, given the kind of the passing resemblance to The Witness.
Yeah. I could see this being kind of like a hard game to get into, though, because there's literally, so not to give too much away, but there's literally one puzzle where you have to figure out a numbering system.
Oh, man. That was my favorite part of Riven. Oh, gosh. Is it base? Like what is it? Base what?
There's a base.
Okay.
There's a base to it. All right. It's not baseless.
You were getting Kole so excited.
But to me it feels very mathematical. You know what I mean? Like
right.
But I could see that being off-putting to certain people. You know what I mean?
Do you have to learn an alphabet?
I have not had to yet, but that does not mean that you don't need to. So
okay.
Yeah, but I do have like scrawls of paper so far where I've had to like write things down and like write down what the patterns are and like a key and stuff. So it's one of those types of games.
I'm way into that. I'm actually looking at my budget right now, seeing if I have any buffer left over.
Yeah, he's doing the Kole equivalent of me squeeing about something right now.
Asking questions in a very low voice.
Yeah.
You squee, he opens an Excel spreadsheet.
but I mean, your experience with this is pretty good so far, right? I mean, it sounds like it's hitting buttons for you, right?
Yeah, and I want to look up how many hours I've spent on it. I think it's around 18 or so. 19 hours. So I put a decent amount of time in it already, but it's good. I think if I were to approximate, I would guess that I'm maybe like 2/3 of the way through the game, but maybe it might even be 1/3 or half. So I'm not sure.
Nice.
Yeah,
this is promising. I like this.
Yeah. I will be interested to talk to any other person about it. So yeah.
Awesome. Do you have anything else, Ben?
Of course, Rocket League.
Of course.
Not much to say about that. So
I'm going to stop putting that in the notes unless there's something unless there's something really big and new.
That is perfectly fair. I know the new Rocket League comes out like next week. It might be out. I forget when in September, but it comes out sometime in September. The Rocket League Brawl.
Okay.
So yeah. So I'll be excited to try that out. But that's it.
Nice. Let's see here. Dennis, you alluded to playing No Man's Sky, so I'm going to throw to you too.
Yeah, so I've finally left my home planetary system.
Oh, Jesus.
So yeah. But I very thoroughly explored and named everything, but I
did you
I got
shed
to
a tear as you warped away?
I did, cause I know I'm never going back to it,
Ground
right? Like
control.
that's not going to happen. So I have very, very clearly emblazoned in my mind that very first screen that came up in the game, like with the busted ship in the foreground, and I know exactly like the terrain layout that was in the background. That was a very special moment, and so that's I'll never be back to that place. But that's
unless you get to the center of the universe and it directs you to go back there,
right? Yeah, but that's part of the allure of the game. It's like I lost that 15 minutes in when I flew the ship somewhere else. Like I would never be able to find the original landing site again. But that kind of ephemeral nature of the game is I think a large part of what it's about. And just that feeling of being, lost, lonely, and completely inessential in this vast universe is something that scratches an itch that I have. So I was going to hold myself to finding all the species on any planet that I visited. But then I visited a planet where the wildlife was sparse, so they were very few and far between, and they were not nocturnal. They only came out during the day.
Oh wow!
And so it'd be this cycle of exploring and trying to find anything new. And then it was night, and it's like, well, I guess I'll like mine materials while I wait for it to be day again, because just nothing was out at night. So that broke me of trying to 100% anything in this game. And I've planet hopped much more rapidly since then. Still feel like I'm seeing cool stuff. Probably the most interesting thing wasn't a planet or a species. It was a starfighter that was basically an X-Wing.
Oh, wow.
So procedurally generated, but just kind of very much had that vibe to it. And I wanted to buy it just for fashion skies, I guess. but I didn't have enough money.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll continue playing. I am very close to being able to upgrade my warp reactor to be able to get to non-traditional solar systems. Did we talk on the show last week about how different color stars take you to more rare places?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm close to being able to do that, and I'll be very interested to see if that unlocks anything for me. But other than that, I still don't feel particularly motivated to get to the center of the universe. I know there's a big quest around Atlas stones, but I accidentally sold my first one and have not seen anything resembling anything to do with Atlas since. So I've seen people say that it'll just show up after one of your jumps and like it'll be there, but I haven't found it yet.
Right.
So I'll use it as a Zen game. I think if I'm playing games in the morning before work, kind of waking up, this is the perfect game for that. But other than being a... Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm going to anyway. Is there anything that... Okay. Are you playing No Man's Sky instead of anything else? Like, anything else that, like, man, I'd really like to get into that, however, No Man's Sky is here?
That's a good question. Always, yes. Like, it's finite time, and I have way more games than I'll ever touch. So instead of, like, The Witcher 3, or instead of Doom, or, any of that stuff. But I would say the times when I'm playing No Man's Sky is when I don't really have the mental capacity to engage in something more intense.
Okay.
So I'm either, like, really tired, or I just feel like vegging out, and it's that kind of Zen game for me.
Yeah. Huh.
So, we'll see how much further I get with it. These games follow a curve, and I'll drop off at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed my time with it very much, and it's unique. So I will not be asking for a refund at the end of my time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's No Man's Sky. I've also played more Guacamelee co-op.
Okay.
Which came earlier, and that continues to be a lot of fun. We're kind of in the home stretch. I think the only boss we have left is the final boss.
Oh
but
boy,
man, is that game getting technically challenging. Like, it is. You can find these kind of rooms when you go into an area that it kind of locks you in. You got to beat a set of bad guys, and you get a prize if you beat them all. And we found an optional one of these rooms that was just punishing. Like, you get into the room, and then the entire floor turns into spinning blades, and so you have to do the entire fight hanging off of the walls and like jumping between the walls. But the enemies that it spawns all have timers over them, and if any of the timers count down, those enemies explode, which knocks you down, which knocks you into the blades, which kills you, and you have to start over. And I honestly don't know how someone would beat this room if they were not playing co-op, because there's a very specific attack that allows you to kind of dart from wall to wall and do damage in between that we were using to kill most of these enemies. But we were running out of meter for the attacks. And so we kind of had to very carefully coordinate who was using what special attacks when, so that we didn't run out and just have to watch this guy explode in a place we couldn't reach him. If that makes any sense. So doing it with two people, we had like just enough meter to finish. I don't know how someone playing it on their own would have beaten that room. So that, is very challenging, but we're steadily progressing in the game.
Is that the kind of thing that the game would rebalance if you walked into it with one person as opposed to two?
That, I haven't tried. I played the entire thing co-op, so I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. I almost think it would have to. Unless there's like some crazy combo of moves that I'm not aware of that you could actually pull off, that would get you through it. Yeah. But yeah, not that I know of. It is really interesting because we find ourselves coordinating very closely on this, more so than other platformers. Like, Rayman Legends or other games like that, you can kind of just play and you don't need to communicate a ton. But with Guacamelee, it's a lot of, okay, like I will handle this aspect, you focus on this guy, and then like when one of us dies, the strategy is the other person kind of goes and hides in a corner until the other person responds, and you like try to trade respawns to keep yourself alive. Which is funny because if you both get your health knocked down too fast, we'll be like, okay, hold on, you played a little bit more safe, I'll go more aggressive, and that way we can kind of get our health bars out of sync so that we both don't die at the same time.
Right.
But so it's requiring a lot more coordination and teamwork than other co-op games that we've played, which is the entire reason you're playing a co-op game. So that's really good. Yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying it so far.
When you say you're playing this as co-op, you're playing this with Jen, right?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, playing it with Jen. And we've done the entire game that way, except for the first 5 minutes, which you can't for some crazy reason.
Huh. That's weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's just like an intro story kind of beat, but it doesn't tell you. I think I talked about this on one of the previous episodes. It doesn't tell you that you will eventually be able to spawn someone in. So you just kind of start on this like, did I miss it? I think I must have missed a menu option. Like, should probably restart or something. But no, you just need to get through the tutorial effectively, and then you can spawn someone else in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions on that one? I got one more that I've played.
Cool.
I mean, I think that I have a broad enough overview of what that game is like. I mean, it's good that you have. So again, the perennial question, like, what do you have on deck next for that kind of co-op experience later on?
Oh, we got a lot. Yeah, we've got, and this is like my PlayStation Plus backlog coming home to roost. We've got Towerfall Ascension. We have Tomb Raider Temple of Osiris.
Oh shit, I hear that's really good.
Yeah, me too. And then one more that I can't think of right now that was on PlayStation Plus and was co-op for PlayStation 4. I'm sure I'll come to it in a little bit, but it's another one of those 2D platformer type of games.
Nice.
So we've got a pretty deep roster. I think I'll try Temple of Osiris next, but my understanding is that's kind of like a Diablo style isometric controls.
Yeah, it's like it's isometric and asymmetric in terms of like one of you plays as Lara and the other one plays as like, I think, this Incan statue.
Yeah, like how like that just speaks to how bereft the Tomb Raider series is of characters. Like,
okay, so Osiris,
Lara Croft, and I don't know, some like god type of dude.
Osiris is in the title of the game, and I said Incan, so I apparently don't know shit about shit.
I mean, it could be the game doesn't know anything about anything.
Oh, so. True. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
really phoned into research. Yeah.
So, some god or some shit. I don't even know. What's the other one you got?
Yeah, so the other one I've played is also a PlayStation Plus game, which is Road Not Taken. And it is a grid-based puzzle roguelike on PlayStation 4.
Weird.
Okay. Yeah. It's really interesting, and I'm not entirely sure what I think of it yet. I went into it not knowing it was a roguelike. I just knew it was a turn-based strategy game. And then like I started playing, I'm like, wait a second.
When I move, they move.
Yeah. This feels randomly generated. And then it turned out that it is intended to be a roguelike, which is cool because you're kind of figuring out how this world works. And like you said, when I move, they move, and all the puzzling that goes along with that. So you kind of have to figure that out organically as stuff is thrown at you. And it's not, holding your hand through a series of tutorials. It's just kind of opaque, similarly to how Binding of Isaac, like when you first start playing that game, you have no idea what any of the items do, and you don't know shit from shit. So there's a learning curve of that Road Not Taken kind of mirrors. That said, if you're going to be a puzzle game, you kind of need a little bit more curation than is in this. Puzzles to me imply that there is kind of a trick, or there is something to figure out, that there is design and intent behind it. And while there is certainly design and intent in the overarching format of just the way things interact in the game, they're thrown up onto a grid without, that I can tell, a real articulated design behind how to solve it. Right. So it's not that each room is, discretely a puzzle to be solved. It's just each room has a random set of elements that you kind of have to brute force into working. Namely, the main way the game works is you can pick up things that are next to you and then throw them. And it's just, they throw away from you on the grid. But you can only pick up everything around you at once. You can't select what you pick up. Oh. So if there's something on 3 different sides, you pick up all 3 of those things. And then when you throw them, you're going to throw them all away from you. Kind of like a sliding block puzzle, if you will. And, that's cool. And that's you kind of have to learn that vocabulary of, okay, I know this thing's going to slide all the way until it hits something. and I know I can't stand next to multiple things if I want to move it, so that determines where you position yourself and all that. But that leads to you just doing a lot of tedious shuffling things around versus figuring out the trick, if that makes any sense.
It does. Man, just the fact that they make this kind of a random thing, but there is a right answer. Like you categorizing this as a puzzle game makes it sound a little bit kind of inconsistent to me. In, you know, it's like, oh, obviously random and consistent, there's no guarantee, but like, it sounds really unsatisfying.
That's a good word for it. Yeah. It's like, you know, I'm not sure if it will become more satisfying as I learn the items. Because again, Binding of Isaac was very much this way where it's like, well, okay, I don't really understand why I was overpowered or underpowered in this run. But eventually you figure that out and you can really play the game well. This one, I don't know if it's just like, oh yeah, I need to make sure these items are next to each other. I need to throw this direction and that'll always work. And it doesn't feel to me yet like there's that level of depth there, which is sad because it's a really interesting idea for a game, specifically for a roguelike, to have it be more kind of thoughtful and puzzle oriented. Yeah. I just don't think they've completely cracked how to make a procedurally generated puzzle game.
Yeah.
They're doing a better job than the No Man's Sky puzzles, I can say that, which is always just 4 numbers in a rotating sequence.
Yeah. Or multiplying by increasing integers.
Ooh, I haven't run into those yet. So
sorry, spoiler alert.
I will say the game has a very strong art style to it that I appreciate. Everything's got almost this like not quite paper cutout feel to it, but kind of hewing a little bit closely to that. And the whole theme of the game is like it's winter and kids are getting lost in the woods, and so you're venturing into the woods to rescue as many of them as possible. Yeah. And it's got this kind of muted color palette to the entire game that fits really well with that.
Yeah.
But that makes it surprisingly dark at moments where it's like, well, I couldn't find that kid, so like to pass the level, you just have to rescue more than half of the kids.
Yeah.
Which means you definitely cut your losses and leave some kids to die.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so it's all about attitude, okay, Dennis? So, you know, like you rescue half the kids and the other ones get a very chilly nap.
You should reiterate that you're the only parent here. This might be bad.
Are you a kids half alive or kids half dead kind of person?
Oh, man. Yeah. The aesthetic, like the cover image for this has always butted up against what I understand Never Alone to be, or whatever that adventure game, that Ubisoft adventure game about the kind of the Inuit myth. Like, you know, and like one of them has a person in a hood, like, you know, traditional garb for that culture, and the other one has a person in a hood, and they're obviously like some kind of weird little mage person dressed up for winter. Yeah. But like it just kind of feels like you know, like a sci-fi movie that is, or a trauma movie that is deliberately developed to confuse grandmas into buying it for their kids.
Right.
Yeah.
So speaking of that dressed up like a mage aesthetic for the main character, there's definitely a point in the game where you're talking to one of the NPCs back in town. And he's like, you know, if we're going to become friends, I should see your face. Like, why don't you take off your robes? And you totally just like, okay. And you take off the robes and you're like this pudgy Norwegian guy underneath. It's not a cool mage dude at all. It's just a little German dude.
All people from Norway are German. Okay.
Yeah, well, you know, from you're a nerdy looking European guy. How about that?
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. I'm Norwegian and German, so it works. In my case.
Oh my God, it's Jala. Finnish, but she's been in the game the whole time.
Hello.
I'm a pudgy man. You never knew.
That could not be further from the truth.
That's not even my final form.
Huh.
Yeah. So I it was interesting. I would love to see like a Road Not Taken 2. Mm-hmm. Is that bad? Like, video games tend to follow this arc where the first one, you know, if there's a really solid idea there, the second game tends to do a much better job mining that out.
Yeah.
So
no, we're living. I mean, for the past decade, we've been in a very good time for sequels. So,
yeah, cool.
Huh. Jala, I want to hear what you've been playing.
Okay, so you don't have to list this as one of the games that I've been playing because it comes up all the time, perpetually. Resident Evil 6, I streamed Chris and Pierce Chapter 2 with Sam as a thing that happened. So did that. Then I also went and played Lord of the Rings War in the North with listener Jonathan, also known as Space Lion, because, Dennis was talking about stumbling across him in the wild.
Oh, yeah.
Game. And so I was like, I miss playing with the Lion of Space. I need to play a game. And so anyway, we played that one. And I had played it last fall for a little bit, but I was playing it solo and it wasn't all that great that way. It really, it's basically in that game you have the ranger, the dwarf, and an elf, and you can pick one of those, and then the other two are controlled by AI. So the AI is not that intelligent, it's not all that great, so you kind of need at least one other person to play with you. So that's why I never went back to continue on with that game at that time.
Can you kind of underline what kind of game this is? Because I hear War of the North and I think that it's like a strategy game kind of thing.
No, it's action. It's like a character action game.
Oh shit.
Okay. Yeah, and it's like a 3-player character action game type of thing. I'm playing the Lore Master, which is the elf chick who's a mage, and I have her set up for AoE. And then also, again, there's a ranger guy and a dwarf, and Jonathan is playing the ranger. I have no idea how he's spec'd. He has said a couple of times, I don't think I have my character spec'd right, but... But anyway, everything about it is just it's okay. It's not bad, but it's not stellar either, it's all right to play around with a friend in the game, to go through and see it. It was kind of awesome because in one of the first parts there's a big eagle that's you have to free from bad guys, and when you do so, he starts talking and he has this really, really deep voice. And I'm like, oh my God, this is creepy as hell. And I was freaked out by the...
Hello, I'm a majestic bird.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't know what I think about this eagle man.
I'm really happy you came and saved me and let me out of this cage.
Yeah,
in this universe, I'm some kind of god, I guess. Some kind of angel, I don't know. I only have so many favors to give.
It's kind of like if Sugarbone had turned into an eagle.
Caw, I'm a bird. Feed me a rat or something. I don't know. Don't let your pet rabbit out when I'm around because I'm going to come. Oh, fuck, I guess I'm giant. I guess don't let your pet goat around. I don't know. Fuck, I'm a god. I don't know what I eat.
So that's about all I've got to really say about that at the point that I've played it. It's pretty good. Playing it co-op, I would not get through it on my own, but playing it with somebody is fun. So I hope to continue playing that with Jonathan in the future. So that'll be fun.
I forget what's your do you have a lot of connection or investment with the Lord of the Rings world?
You're trying to make my eye twitch, aren't you? Because that big commission that I was working on that was a 4-foot long oil painting was a Lord of the Rings scene.
I know that. I know that, but from way back, that could have been somebody else who made you care about that.
Oh no! I actually ended up with that commission because somebody at the Watercolor Art Society was asked to do it, and he's like, I paint hunting stuff. I have nothing to do with that. But I know this girl, she probably likes dragons and stuff. You can ask her. Mm-hmm. And then, was referred to, and, in talking to my patron, I was like, yeah, I read The Hobbit when I was 10, and I read through all the Lord of the Rings, and, I have copies of the faux leather bound whatever on my shelf. And, I watched all the movies as they came out. And, I listened to audiobook, dramatic readings of it, and watched the animated / cartoon / I don't know, whatever the really weird Lord of the Rings one that was
the Rankin Bass one from the 80s.
Yeah, that one and whatever. So like I watched all those and stuff. So like, I've got some ongoing, association with it. So yeah, that's how that shook out. And then my sister had mentioned at one point that Lord of the Rings War in the North, was a game you could co-op with somebody and things like that. And so I got it with the anticipation of playing it with her. But then, she kind of like went and had kids and stuff like that. And she'd been like, like her husband works overtime. So she's like on baby duty all the time.
Right.
So, we don't have time to co-op anymore. But, so.
Give it 14 years and then you'll be able to four-way co-op. Just 2 kids.
There you go. Yeah.
Nice. What else do you have?
I also have Shovel Knight. I started playing that finally.
Oh shit! Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was on my wish list for a while, and actually, listener Phil Holmes, because somebody has to mention Phil every episode.
Of course.
Phil had given it to me for, I believe, Christmas. So I've been sitting on it for a while, but a lot of games in my inventory. Yeah. Anyway, so I started playing that. I beat King Knight and Spectre Knight. So basically the first segment of the map or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, like Shovel Knight, like what am I going to say? It feels very familiar. The controls are great and responsive. It's very lovingly crafted. It kind of feels like a cross between Super Mario 3, Mega Man, and DuckTales.
A little bit of Zelda 2 in there too.
Yeah, I guess. So anyway, I'll be playing more of that in the future. You will hear me mention briefly that I played it and not really have a lot to say because, a lot of people have already played that.
No, I mean, like, so we've talked about it a bit, but it's been a couple years. Like, I want to hear, like, just a little bit, like, how is it landing with you?
It feels like games that I played as a kid, so it's very nostalgic. But at the same time, it's a smoother experience than some of the games I played as a kid because NES is a white whale, to quote Chris. So I think it was Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. So it's been fun. I don't do a lot at a time because with a lot of platformers, like I just need to play like a level or two and then be done. Yeah. For a little bit, and then I'll come back to it and then play. Like I can't just sit down and play like a platformer until I'm done with it. Like I have to take it in chunks.
Yeah.
So
are the boss are the boss battles like the stars of the show, or is it a platformer first and like those mechanics are the main interest and then the bosses are kind of like a side thing?
I don't know. Like the actual levels themselves have, lots of fun platformy stuff that you have to figure out. But at the same time, the boss battles are fun, but they're also, utilizing some of the same skills that you had to use through the levels and whatever. So, I mean, like, the boss battles aren't, egregiously difficult or anything like that. Which is good. Like, if it were like one of the old school NES games, either the level would be nigh impossible at some point a lot of times, or it would be, the boss that would just be like, really, but I haven't felt like it's imbalanced or, too hard or anything. But then again, I've only played the first couple of, bosses, castles, whatever. So. I don't know what the Truple is. Like, I have a Truple cauldron chalice thing, and he appeared, and I don't know what it does.
You're saying Truple. It's trout and apple, so it's Trouple.
Okay, Trouple. Okay.
I just want to make sure, because he seems pretty vengeful. I mean, no, he seems very jovial and forgiving, but I just want to make sure that we pay homage to the liege.
Yes, hail to the
trout. All hail Trouple. Yeah. Sorry.
This game is also on my wish list because it won, I think, Indie Game of the Year the year that it came out for the Game Awards. But
I can definitely see that because it is very well made and, like I said, very lovingly crafted, and the people who made it are on point with the kinds of experiences that they're referencing. Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Ben, I thought you had played it based on what you were saying. Like, don't delay, act today. It was one of my One of my favorite games of like 2014 or whenever it came out. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good game. I would recommend it too. And I haven't even played that far into it, but it's fun.
It's
so definitely.
I mean, it's kind of a cliched thing to say about a game like this, but like any game that either takes and updates an older style of game or like explicitly remakes one, but it's like, oh, this feels like what you remember playing those games was like. So even if you wouldn't have gotten anything out of going back and playing DuckTales, like this has enough conveniences and enough like modern kind of considerations and just, you know, the weight of kind of just history and learning behind it to make it feel really good while still also like evoking very strongly those ideas. It's it is a fantastically designed game.
And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that you mentioned that because I was talking to listener Steven and I had mentioned that I had played some Shovel Knight, and then like almost immediately after that, because I was saying, these are the types of NES games it reminds me of. Then suddenly he starts playing Mega Man and he's like streaming it right now. So I'm like, okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So.
No, I got the Mega Man collection when I thought we were doing it for PRGE, and even though we're not doing that anymore, we're doing Pokemon now. I'm still very happy that I have like just the first 6 Mega Man games on my 3DS, so I can play them in bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a good place to do it
for sure. You have anything else, Jala?
One more.
Okay.
So I got back to playing stuff on my phone again because it's been a bit since I did that. I know a lot of listeners actually have asked after me talking about iOS games and things as well. So I got another one called Deep Under the Sky. It is, I believe, $3.99 on the App Store. It has really psychedelic graphics. You play basically as an alien jellyfish who is traveling through different areas, propagating your race by exploding and spreading seeds everywhere.
Oh, no.
So this is an alien sex game.
Yeah,
essentially, but it's just you're exploding jellyfish who has marks that you have to go explode onto, and then you go away to the next area.
Oh, hey, I'm the eagle again, but I'm a jellyfish. When I go into the water, I'm going to spread my spores.
Pretty much. So
you're making all these games sound cool, Cole.
Hey, are you trying to tell me I play not cool stuff?
I can't even make myself sound cool. But Deep Under the Sky. So I'm looking at the video on Steam, and boy, jellyfish are upsetting. So like as you, it's got kind of a grappling hook kind of thing, right? Like as you like latch onto stuff and do like a parabolic motion kind of thing, right?
I have not encountered a grappling hook element thus far. I'm somewhere at the end of chapter 2. So far, it has basically one button gameplay. You have a sequence of movements like launching from the base jellyfish, jetting in a direction, or turning into like a rolly ball, like basically turning into Samus Metroid Ball or something,
right?
And like exploding, and you execute them at a proper time in order to achieve your goal for every level. And then like you can also aim for, there are 2 stars in every level that if you get all the stars in the game, you unlock hard mode. So it's kind of like a puzzle game, but it also kind of feels like playing an old Sonic game when you're in a spin dash.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Looking at this,
yeah. So I mean, like it has kind of weirdly, I don't know, platformery-ish elements to it, but it's a puzzle game. But it's only like one, like on the phone anyway. It's only like one button, and there's just the sequence, and you just have to tap it at the right times, to get to the all the different areas that you're getting to. It still feels like a game even though there's only one button, and it's just because like it does require timing, skill, planning, all of that stuff to get your trajectories just right to get where you need to be. So
like
but
the Sonic connection is that like based on what I'm seeing in this video anyway, is that like you are following along in this mostly curved level geometry. And then there are also like surfaces that you just like do a straight reflective bounce off of.
Yep. There are bouncy areas and things like that. So, I mean, it's kind of like a less crazy Casino Night Zone.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so it's been fun just as something to play, kind of like, again, like in bed or something like that when you're just kind of chilling out, or if you have like a few minutes waiting in line or whatever, you can get some game time in. And it's very interesting looking, looks crazy.
Yeah.
It's got like eyeball looking things in places, and like there's a photo app called Percolator or something like that has like a bunch of little circles of gradiated colors, and this is kind of that kind of look to it.
Yeah.
So
it's got kind of this weird level, like a fractal kind of appeal to it, where like the texture of a surface looks like a little fractal version of itself peeking out of it. Yeah. Very colorful.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, so that's been just like a fun little thing I've been playing on my phone. I have, a little bit of time in between things where I'm not like at my PC or with my Vita or anything.
Yeah.
So
that is deep under the sky.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So I'm going to move through mine very quickly. So I've been streaming Resident Evil Code Veronica after I got out from underneath the Galarian's weight. Boy, oh boy, that game took a deep dive. However, Code Veronica is hard. It's hard enough to make me like reevaluate whether or not it's like especially well balanced or good for like somebody who is just coming to it. But as kind of the last canonical tank control Resident Evil game, like it still holds this kind of strangely warm place in my heart. I thought I was going to finish it on Sunday, however my my power went out, so womp.
Oh, that'll slow you down.
I know, right? So I've got about like 2 more hours of it, possibly, maybe. Like by the time this comes out, that is probably done. You're gonna see those archived on hexcrank.com. However, I think that it is it's still worth like checking out. Like it's available in HD on the PlayStation 3 and whatnot, but like it is definitely this weird little daywalker that straddles where the series was in terms of kind of control, resource allocation, and kind of like planning, and what it would eventually become in terms of like crazy, ridiculous, over-the-top action stuff, and also regular people who become massive room-filling monsters. So yeah, it's like, going back to it has been very interesting to see, because it's been a very long time since I played it. Coming up next on that stream is actually going to be Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare.
Oh, hey, nice.
Yeah, I know, right? I've had a burr to go and play some Red Dead Redemption, but I figured this is the best way to do that because I've never done Undead Nightmare. Yeah, you like it, Ben, right?
Yeah, it was great. It was a great way to revitalize the series, I feel like.
Yeah, man, oh man, I'm so excited for that. Yeah. So the next thing, everybody's talking about this Deus Ex series. It's very very popular. Mankind Divided came out, and not being a person.
Catch on.
What's that? No. It's like electric guitar, just novelty for the kids.
It's just a fad.
Yeah. But being somebody who doesn't want to ever miss out on kind of the current kind of thing, I looked at this Deus Ex thing and thought, no, give it to me smaller. And I played Deus Ex Go.
I've seen that around when I was looking for games to play. I saw that.
Yeah. So this is, if you've played any of the Go games before, either Hitman or Lara Croft, you're going to kind of know what this is. These feel like very cool little board game puzzle box versions of the properties that they're adapting. I didn't much care for Tomb Raider Go, quite honestly, just because it was a little bit too graphically rich, and it kind of got rid of the considered moves and kind of like conservation of the Hitman version of this. But Deus Ex kind of goes a little bit back closer to that by adding a couple of cool things. I don't know that I've seen every single thing about it, but like this plays just like those previous ones do. You're moving from node to node. You are trying to avoid enemies. Enemies move like you do as you go along, but it adds 3 or 4 different things. The first of which are these enemies that when they see you, again, to highlight this health or this stealth kind of thing, they will like tighten armor up. And I've not played either of the recent Deus Ex games, and they will like charge at where they spotted you, like just like rhinoceri or something like that. So you have time to get out of the way and then get behind them, which is pretty good. So it's not like Hitman Go, where if you get seen, you're immediately shot by the guard. There's a little bit of like leading these people around the map. There's also
you can kind of kite them around.
Yeah. They'll always return to where they went from. But that is, again, it lends to that predictability. There's also invisibility. So like you will pick one of those up, and then you can use it to get like 3 moves worth of not being detected as you move across somebody's sight line, which is kind of cool, which will help you get to hacking points, where when you get to those and stand on them and activate them, you can like direct hacking power or whatever. Again, it's super dumb, super abstracted, but you can turn off or turn on either sections of floor, which seems inadvisable, or like turrets and stuff like that. So like you will end up trying to maneuver yourself to these hacking points to lure different kind of guards or enemies into hazards where you can either lock them down or kill them in order to proceed to the endpoint where you're trying to be. Which it's pretty satisfying. Like I really like the aesthetic of them. Like any of these Go games have been very subdued in the way they present themselves. And I would say like, just if you like Deus Ex, like I do, or if you like these Go games, like I do, this is a good way to go about it.
Nice.
So if you guys like, has anybody here played any of the Go games?
No.
I've been mildly curious, but I have not.
Okay.
Yeah, I did Hitman.
Okay. Yeah. I
kind of like you answered the questions a little bit, but I was kind of when I played Hitman, I wasn't really sure what else, like where else that series had to go in terms of new mechanics.
Right.
Like it felt like adding more would take away from the simplicity that made the game so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, and just so like that simplicity, it does go away, but it like shifts over to, again, representing different aesthetics or different styles of games. So like Lara Croft Go is about like you are activating stuff that changes the geometry of the level. Like you are like navigating around traps and activating moving walls or moving blocks and things like that in order to proceed along. Like they're all pretty good like individual representations of kind of the ideas of whatever developer is doing these. Like it's a Square Enix Montreal or whatever.
Nice. So are the levels are you going back to like 3-star them or whatever the complete is for a game?
So this is the weird thing. Like Hitman has that. Hitman has it where like you need to optimize for the number of moves that you've done. Deus Ex does not actually put that in front of you. It doesn't tell you like, oh, you did okay. That's like a 2-star or a 1-star. Like come back and do this. So like that's oddly freeing in a way. Like I don't really care so much about like maximizing my performance on one of these. I just kind of want to solve it and then not have to go back through and do the perfect version of it.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's something that has been missing since Lara Croft. Like the Lara Croft game did not have the stars, if I remember correctly. But their presence in the Hitman game actually does like lend into the way people play a Hitman game, which is trying to optimize, right?
That is true, yeah. Like you can replay the Hitman level trying to get the specific kinds of assassinations.
Yeah. So I've been playing that. Any other questions about Deus Ex Go?
I just thought you were going to talk about the new Deus Ex, so I feel teased.
So you feel teased. I'm curious about it. Like people have been saying fantastic things about Mankind Divided, but yes. I bounced off of Human Revolution, which is shameful, and I need to go back and like give that its due. But obviously, Human Revolution is standing in the way between me and Mankind Divided. So. Shrug.
Personal reviews I've heard said it was good. So
yeah. No, like people that I trust have said that they enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things, again, like a shame kind of thing. I'm like, I picked that up for $7 on a Steam sale, or a Steam sale or something like that.
Steam sale.
Yep, Steam sale. Yeah. And the only other thing, I don't want to spend too much time on this because we are going a little bit late, has been I played the first chapter of Life is Strange.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
I saw you doing that thing.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
Cool.
Did you completed the first chapter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I met Chloe, and I did all of the kind of discovering my superpower kind of stuff. No, I dig it.
You're a wizard, Kole.
Yeah, I know, right? The first chapter was strong enough to make me want to play the rest of the series, or at least see what chapter 2 has to offer. Good.
That's why they made the first chapter free.
Yeah. Jala, have you played this?
No, I have it downloaded to play the first chapter anyway.
Okay.
Because it was free.
Yeah,
no, it was on my wish list anyway, but you know.
Yeah. We've spoken about this. Ben, you played this kind of at length,
Correct.
and you talked about it in kind of the spoiler for your way, and it's a little bit hard. This is the game that was developed by
Don't nod.
By Don't Nod. The people who are doing Vampire right now, and who previously did Remember Me. And you're playing as the kind of college student who can rewind time to solve her problems, but not rewind it enough to actually make a difference. The way things are going. Yeah. And the flavor, it's a little melodramatic. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. But it's definitely there, and I could see that being a turnoff for some people. Good.
Kind of fits in tone, right? Because it feels very much like a high school sort of drama. Like, even though I guess they're technically in college, but it very much feels like a high school. In fact, I think it might be a high school, but it's just they have dormitories, maybe.
No, I was actually really surprised at that, because I walked into it thinking it was high school, because somebody said, "Go fuck yourselfy." And that's like a meme now at this point. Like, I knew that was coming, but it was still like, oh no. But I was surprised. No, like, just all the characters are 18, and they are like, this is a prestigious art school. That is, it's like a undergraduate degree kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
But they have lighthouses there.
Oh, of course, because of all those ships. But yeah, like, I don't know what I can say without spoiling things, but like, the idea of this kind of story, like, we saw this a little bit in Steins Gate, like, what happens when you can infinitely rewind time to get some kind of outcome, but like, that doesn't actually do what you intended to do, kind of stuff. I don't know, like, it really works for me in kind of a big bad way. And the performances and characters are strong enough. Like, I really like Chloe, the main character, Max's old friend, and kind of solving these problems. I kind of hope that the puzzles go away, like figuring out how to splash paint on the mean girls. But just like this, the story about, like, regular people with very petty and asinine concerns, and one of them just happens to have this extraordinary ability, and the way that kind of pans out for them. Like, I don't know, like, this, it seems worth investigating, like, and maybe that's because I've been thirsty for some kind of, like, really good Telltale like content, and I haven't gotten anything really good in that way in a long time. Yeah.
I definitely think that the game does do a really good job of, like, raising the stakes throughout the entire game.
Oh, cool.
So even though it's kind of trivial missions at the beginning of the game, I think they do a good job of upping the ante.
Nice.
So yeah,
and they set it up at the end of the first chapter that, like, oh, something that threatens this whole town is coming along.
Yeah.
I love the visual style. So, like, it's got a little bit of, like, a BioShock kind of exaggerated proportions on individual people, but even if you look at the like the textures on stuff that's in the world, it kind of has like this roughly painterly style look to it, where they are obviously designing for looking at it from 5 feet away, but even up close, it doesn't degrade in quality, it just degrades in detail. So it's very pleasant and very soft, in a way. And like, you know, obviously because I am the person that I am, like the music, not so much like the pop tunes that they pick out, even though like I've only played one episode, so who knows if they're going to pick something that really jams with me, but like the rough indie style guitar kind of stuff ends up working for me as I'm moving from place to place. Like, I don't know, this is a really fun kind of experience. Like I'm on board.
Good. So how, like, would you go all in and just buy all the remaining episodes, or?
Oh, I got it for $7, probably in the same sale that I got Deus Ex.
Oh, okay. So you had it for a while. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's not a concern.
Just snatching them up. Yeah.
Yep. Any questions about Life is Strange? I will probably wait until I finish the entire thing to say any more.
We could do a spoiler episode of it.
We probably could. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, damn it! If we do that, then I'm gonna have to like play it.
Oh yeah. We'll take a look. I've got kind of a light week coming up, so I thought I would play Chapter 2 today because like a lot of people that I talked to on Slack said that was when it got real.
Okay.
But you know, things got away from me because I was sick and laying in bed, closing my eyes, trying not to exist.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's everything that I've got. Kind of a fertile week this week. Do you all want to button it up?
Buttons.
Let's do it.
The credit.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Level number 164. We are so appreciative. At the beginning, we joked about our vinegar-smelling t-shirts and wares. Yeah. But if you want to check those out, we have so many designs. People seem to be very happy with them. That is Duckfeed.tv/shirts. That'll reroute you to our store. And that is a great way to get things to put on your torso or your desk or your walls to show your support and see these things. And by God, if you get them, please send pictures. I love seeing pictures of these things. Either direct them to me on Twitter or in Slack or what have you. But yeah, I'm so happy this stuff exists. But there's the usual stuff, Patreon. There's Facebook if you want to participate in the multiplayer, and iTunes ratings or reviews. It's been a little bit since we've gotten one of those. That is a very low investment way to help out the show a great deal. Did I miss anything? Does anybody have anything else they want to plug? Jala?
I want to plug sleeping.
Yes. So let us all plug sleeping by saying I've been Cole Ross at Cole Ross on Twitter.
I've been Dennis Furia at DFuria on Twitter.
I'm always Jala-chan or Neon Sky Studio in places.
I'm at Merkleizer on Twitter.
And stick around for some titles. Okay, I don't have very many, so I'm looking for you all to fill in the gaps. What do we got?
I got some.
Okay, Jala.
So, also cheetahs. Zombie soup.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Corvax is Corvax for Corvax.
Oh, man, I'm happy you got that because I lost it before I could write it down.
The base is acid.
Okay.
And
is that BASS or BASE?
I don't know. However you want to do it.
Whichever's funnier.
Yeah.
Okay, I say
I'm
base.
I'm not funny anymore.
I'm gonna end it with an E just because that is a science pun kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's how I wrote it down. But anyway, also all Norwegians are German.
We're going to disrupt our fan base in Germany.
Yeah,
or in Norway.
Go ahead, Dennis.
I had zombie soup as well, but I also had Corvax's Corvax for Corvax, and I think that one is my favorite so far.
Yeah, I think that one works for the episode since we mentioned No Man's Sky in places.
Okay. Ben, what you got?
I got Squash Your Waveform, more or less 5 sales, and then Steam sale. I also like Corvax's Corvax for Corvax.
I'm going to simplify Steam sale as Steam stale because I wrote that down too.
Fair.
So this is weird because I have 3 that are not here, or they're not present in yours. Egg in a bed, fashion skies, and a very chilly nap. But it seems like Corvax is Corvax for Corvax wins. Like that is by a plurality. So
yes. Oh yes.
Okay, cool. It seems we all agree.
Even a majority.
Yeah. Neat. I always forget the difference. I say plurality to be safe.
Plurality means it has the most votes out of any of the things. Majority means you have over half of all the possible votes.
So we are both correct. I was conservative with what I said, and you were accurate. Yeah. Neat. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go to bed so I can hopefully wake up and go to work tomorrow.
Hopefully wake up.
Better.
I hope you wake up.
Well, I mean, given how much I sleep, it could be like 2 or 3 before I'm like on my feet. Oh, man. I hope everybody has a good week.
Yeah.
You too.
I hope you guys have a good week.
All right, take care, everybody.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.